Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Fireside Chat. I'm Sarah Rasmussen, the new artistic director at McCarter Theater Center here on the beautiful campus of Princeton University. And I'm here by our fire pit today, our cozy fire pit, to chat with our mayor of Princeton, Liz Lempert. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited you're here. It's actually getting chilly, so we've got our fire. We've got our warm beverages, too, thanks to our friends at Sacred Coffee. So thank you, Sacred Coffee. Liz is the outgoing mayor of Princeton after 8 years of service. Bravo, bravo. And a great supporter of McCarter's work. So I'm being new to town. I'm so curious to ask you so many things about the community, but let's start with what inspires you about the community? What have you found really meaningful in your 8 years of leading?
Yeah, well, I just feel like this is a golden age of local government in so many ways. And being in the Princeton community is, I think we're just all so fortunate. There's so many really smart, talented people, as you would expect, from the university and the institute and all the amazing people here. But on top of that, I think there's a real community spirit and just like a culture of giving back and wanting to not just live in the world of ideas or live in sort of international politics, but to figure out how to make our community better. So it's been amazing. So many people have come forward whenever there's a problem, wanting to help.
That's great. I've certainly found that. I've been here a little over 2 months at this point, but I've certainly found it's just a really inviting, very dynamic group of people here that I've gotten to meet so far.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And there's, even though there's people who are like super, super smart and super, super prestigious, it's, most people are just pretty down to earth and, happy to be a part of the community.
What do you think about leadership in this moment? It's been so, I hate to even use the word unprecedented, but it's just, crisis has been a real constant in 2020. What's on your mind in your own work or more broadly in terms of leadership in communities?
Yeah, well, again, it's just like I feel being in a community like Princeton, just so grateful that I've never really felt alone. That we have a great municipal team. We have an amazing staff. We have a really great council that I get to work with. Our volunteers are amazing, but also our community institutions. And we are in a lot of this COVID crisis and the economic crisis, and I think a lot of the just fundamental questions we're asking about racism and inequities and the really big challenges. And I think it's just realizing like it's not up to just one person. These are big issues we need to be grappling with as a community and making sure that all voices are at the table and that when we think about these problems, I think we've tended to maybe in the past have whoever's around the table come with their perspectives, and if that's limited, you're not really dealing with the full scope of the problem. So I think I've learned a lot. I think the community is learning a lot too, and I'm really hopeful that even though the crisis is really painful and horrific in so many ways, that it has been a wake-up call, and I think it's shaken us up. And that, if we're able to rebuild from this in a way that's, more equitable and, more sustainable, more resilient, that will, serve us well going into the future.
Yeah, that's so well put about who's at the table, who's bringing solutions, but who's not at the table, that whose voices we need to hear. That's certainly a big conversation we're having at McCarter as well, and something I think as challenging as this time is, it is opening up space to really think deeply about those inequities and how we move forward.
Yeah, definitely. And I think people have been thinking really creatively, like when you think about, the response to the COVID crisis, and, there's been different groups of people who've come together. Some of them are official 501c3s, other are just like informal groups of neighbors of, providing food for people and thinking about what people would normally put in a food bag or what people would normally donate to a food pantry. And it's like, is that the food that people want and need right now? and sort of going to the source, figuring out what people like to cook, making sure that it's appropriate for the people that need the food.
Yes.
So just even basic things like that.
Yes.
It's really important to not just assume you have the answer, but to talk with people who really are on the front lines, who need to help come up with the solution and some direction.
Yes, that sounds like good leadership to me. As we think about this next chapter for McCarter, we're so grateful for your support. And I know you've been involved in things like a talk back around the Gloria Steinem show, all of
Right.
that. It's really exciting. What do you envision institutions like McCarter, the role that they might play more deeply in this community moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I mean, I think all of us have, I don't think there's been any single person probably around the globe who hasn't been impacted by COVID
Yeah.
in some ways. I mean, it's shaken up all of our routines at the very least. And I think I think a lot of us are thinking about big questions that maybe when you're in a routine, you don't necessarily think about, like what's really important, what are the things that I need to be healthy, to be happy, what are the relationships that are really important to me. And it feels like art is such a big piece of that. And, when you can't travel and when you can't sort of escape your physical surroundings, it is like art is one of those things that can transport you. And I think just, being immersed in other people's stories, especially, other people who've had to grapple with really big challenges and pain and illness. I think it just connects you to being human.
It's a great catalyst for empathy, isn't it?
Definitely.
It's,
yeah. And I think also just wanting some perspective, wanting a new way to think about things, even wanting escape. McCarter's such a great community institution too, where I think that's one of the things I'm missing during this period is it's like one thing to watch TV by yourself, but there's something about watching something collectively, and that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to when there's a vaccine and when we can return back to normal is having those in-person communal experiences.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. Yes, nothing quite takes the place of that, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So being new to the community, relatively new, I'm just curious about a couple of your favorite things about Princeton. As I was sharing, I have 2 small children who are running around right over there. What are favorite places to be socially distant, to be outside, favorite places for food, favorite places to think about look forward to when we can come back in person? What are some highlights for you?
Well, there's so many.
I know.
There's so many.
You don't have to pick favorites, but just a couple off the top of your head.
I mean, we have just amazing open space. And so even just sort of getting off the traditional, like everybody knows about the Canal Towpath and Mountain Lakes. Those are really great places to walk. But there's also other places that are really fun to discover. There's a poetry trail up at Greenway Meadows, if you haven't been there, and really some beautiful views. And then from that parking lot, you can either go up the hill to the poetry trail, or you can go down, and there's a beautiful walk along the Stony Brook, and a really wonderful pedestrian bridge. So those are fun places to walk. There's great shopping and restaurants.
Yes.
There's a million different places to get ice cream. So if you're hardcore, you can get it in the winter. There's also a lot of them make hot chocolate too. And I could go on and on.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm probably leaving people off, but and then just walking around and exploring, and there's just a lot of great people here, and I think most people are willing to engage in a conversation. So we're really excited to have you as a part of the community too.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, and thank you for the conversation time today.
Great.
Thanks.
Thanks.